Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game on Sports Channel America is brought to you by Mercury. See the exciting new line of 1991 Mercury automobiles at your Lincoln Mercury dealer. Nothing moves you like a Mercury. By Labatt's Blue, the crisp, clean taste of Canada's best beer. Between friends, it's True Blue, Labatt's Blue, and by Prudential. Come to the companies of the Prudential and build your future on the rock.
Too much of a good thing is a good thing. The new, incredibly comfortable Mercury Grand Marquis. All this on the quality of a Mercury.
Yeah, we just scored. No, I didn't see Kevin get hit. Kev, you okay?
I wind up in the hospital, and Bob gets the winning goal.
I couldn't let Kevin miss the party.
I was having a pretty good time where I was.
Friends deserve the best.
Friendship. Just being there.
The crisp, clean taste of Canada's best beer, Labatt's Blue.
I have to be flat on my back to get Bob to buy me a Blue.
Between friends, it's True Blue, Labatt's Blue.
We can't win if you can't stop Ricky Henderson.
When something on your mind,
This could get ugly.
or something you eat,
Look at that jump.
gives you acid indigestion, it's time for extra strength Rolaids. Fast, 1,000 milligrams strong. Now that spells relief.
Old Spice, Sports Channel America, and The National present the fans' choice for MVP. To vote, dial 1-900-896-2333. Know your MVP's team and jersey number. The winners will be featured on Sports Channel America. Call 1-900-896-2333.
When sports scream, when arms are sore, when legs ache, when muscles hurt. Why Sports Cream? Massaging Sports Cream In brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell, no odor. Why Sports Cream? Because it works.
Over 28 million adults get athlete's foot.
I'm Jim Berg. I had athlete's foot until I used NP27. It has an ingredient recommended by doctors.
Look, NP27 stops the burning, itching of athlete's foot fast.
NP27. Nothing's a better cure for athlete's foot.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Sports Nightly in New York. I'm CJ Papa. The Rifleman guns down Boston. Pittsburgh rips the Mets yet again. And Ricky Henderson ties the all-time steals mark. For the moment, Ricky can put his problems on hold as he runs for the record. Henderson pulled even with Lou Brock when he stole second base in the 6th inning. At the Coliseum, you'll see Lou Brock with his 938 career thefts. And there's Ricky, who is 937. But after a first inning single, Henderson is picked off, and history will have to wait. In the 6th inning, Ricky is nailed in the back, and that sends him to first. It doesn't slow him down a bit with Lou watching. Henderson breaks for second, and he beats the throw of Lance Parrish, tying the record. The celebration is on in Oakland. The A's win this one 7-3. Dave Stewart will get the win. Jose Canseco had 3 hits and 3 RBIs as the A's sweep the 3-game set. It was a big day for Ricky, who's looking for more.
I feel that, if I stay healthy, 1 or 2 more years, I'm still 100 or more a year. And if I can play 6 or 7, 8 years, I can be able to get to 1,500 stolen bases.
Well, here are the men of steel. Lou Brock and Ricky Henderson tied at 938. When Henderson, he will go for the record on...
1,800 seats were available yesterday. None were left by this morning. From the towns of White Bear Lake and Red Wing and Wabasha and Lake Minnetonka, all over Minnesota, they've come to the Met Sports Center tonight, hoping to see another series upset, another clinch in another Game 6. Good evening, everyone. Along with Bill Clement, I'm Mike Emmerich. Yeah, it's all sold out here again tonight. They're already chanting and cheering. The North Stars fans are revved up. Can their team do it?
They'd better do it, Mike. I can't see the North Stars winning if this series goes 7. So for the first time in the playoffs, they find themselves in a must-win situation. Blues obviously must win because if they lose, they're out of the playoffs. Double must win. That's why it's going to be good.
There's one description that we've not had of Brett Hull and Adam Oates that often this year, and that's pointless. That's what they were in the last game, yet their team won. There isn't a team in the NHL that has kept Hull and Oates pointless in 2 successive games. The North Stars will try to do that tonight in a tall order.
There is no question the Blues are absolutely dependent on the production of Brett Hull and Adam Oates. The big question is, can the Blues win 2 consecutive games without production from Hull and Oates? Well, that's the question we posed to Adam Oates today.
Well, first of all, I don't think they're going to be able to keep us off the board offensively for that many games. I really hope we can. We have some guys that are playing very well for us, but I think that if Brett and I work hard, we get enough chances. They kept us off the board the other night, but we had lots of chances. We just didn't execute. And I think sooner or later, we get those chances, we will execute.
Should go to the big snipers, but it also at playoff time has to go to the goalkeepers. And tonight, Vincent Riendo will be in goal for St. Louis. He said he didn't get much sleep after Game 4. He probably did after Game 5 because that was successful. John Casey was pulled in Game 5. That hasn't happened to him much this year. Be interesting to see if there's a problem in his adjusting tonight.
Mike, I think most of the pressure early in this game will be on the North Stars. It's a tough situation for them. Bob Gainey has to look into his locker room and look for veteran leadership, and I think he has it in Neil Broughton and Bobby Smith. You combine their playoff game totals, just about 250 between them. Neil Broughton played on a gold medal team in 1980. Bobby Smith won a Stanley Cup in 1986. Lots of experience. They know what it's like to play in big situations. They have to help the young guys.
And their coach knows, too. Bob Gainey was a part of 5 Stanley Cup champions in Montreal. We asked him if there was something his team needed to do tonight that they didn't do 2 nights ago.
I feel that if we missed anything in St. Louis in Game 5 was a little bit of tenacity. We've been involved in most of our games where we've been able to strike out in the lead and take control of the game early, depend on a solid defense and goaltending to carry us through. And we were involved in a different kind of game where the home team facing elimination showed a strong start to the game and pressed us until they had the lead. I felt with a little more tenacity and grit that we could have stayed in the game, and we did score 2 goals in the 3rd period, which if we had shown some of those signs, they might have been enough for us to get back into the game and really challenge at the end.
I don't know if you can hear me from the noise, Bill. If you can hear me, hand out the check marks in the edge.
It's tough to give a team a decided advantage in a 6th game, but I gave it to the Minnesota North Stars. Most of the check marks on the left for St. Louis occurred as a result of their play in Game 5. The North Stars have been building their check marks since the first game of this series. The slight edge goes because of the home record. The North Stars have only lost twice here since the All-Star break. I think in a slight edge, that'll be enough to get the North Stars through this one.
St. Louis was great on the road in the regular season. In the playoffs, they've only won 1 road game, but that was Game 6 at Detroit. They had to have it. They got to have Game 6 tonight here at Minnesota. We'll see if they do it in a moment.
Tonight's game.
First year with the Kings, led the charge. Los Angeles won the final 3 games of the series. Will the real Gretzky and Messier please stand up? Wayne Gretzky is just 4 assists through 5 games. Mark Messier has 1 goal and 1 assist. And the Bruins in Montreal prepare for their showdown. That will be tomorrow night, game number 7. Montreal is 3-0 against for that game number 7. The Bruins 1-15 in overtime at the Montreal Forum in overtime. Well, that's the place of ruin for the Bruin, but they're returning to home ice. Minnesota's on home ice as well, and they are pumped, and so are their fans. Here with the call of the action, Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement.
The voice of Jim Bowers, who loosened up his tie to sing the Star-Spangled Banner. We're going to do the same thing. Vincent Riendo, his 20th straight playoff start. Tonight, his starting is no surprise.
No surprise at the other end either. Perhaps Bob Gainey saved John Casey from confidence damage in Game 5 by pulling him. We'll wait and see.
The referee for tonight's game is Andy Van Helleman, the linesman Randy Mitten and Gord Brossiker, the standby officials Dan Marawelli and Ron Finn, the off-ice ice officials from Detroit. Again, Bob Gainey starts McRae, Bureau, and Churla up front. This time, though, Hull and Oates will not be opposite them at the start of the game. It'll be Basson, Lowry, and Sutter. Sneps and Marois, the veterans on defense. Dahlquist and Tenorti for Minnesota. Chris Dahlquist bangs one off, misses for McRae, and down for a quick icing. So just 10 seconds after we start, we stop.
Brian Sutter knows a good thing when he sees it. The only time Brian Sutter in this series has changed his lineup has been when the team has lost. So the St. Louis Blues are going with an identical lineup from Game 5. Why change? That's how superstitious Brian Sutter is. And plus, it was a winning combination. The North Stars have made one change. Their first change since the playoffs against the St. Louis Blues began. Bob Gainey has taken young Mike Craig out of the lineup. Ulf Dahlin is in. That's the only change for either team tonight.
Basson and Bureau for the face-off. Rossiker drops it, and off the tie-up, it's to the wall, and Tenorti. Pestered by Lowry, dumps it back for Dahlquist. Then over for Churla, rushed by Sneps, and it's brought right back out by Bureau. Bureau moves on Marois, fires, and that one blocked by Riendo. Marois able to guide it back off. Basson stepped into by Churla. Big hit on Basson by McRae. McRae flips. Off Rich Sutter, it went to Marois, stepped into by Churla. And a stoppage of play just 38 thundering seconds after the start.
Any good hits so far? Whoa. Well, Brian Sutter declared his starting lineup first, and then Bob Gainey countered. One of the guys out there was Basil McRae. Another one was Shane Churla. Mark Bureau centered the forward line. Big hitting early. How much adrenaline do you think there is trying to climb out of these bodies? And a bunch of it did already. Watch this rush heading up the ice. Harold Sneps was absolutely taken out by Basil McRae, and then Dave Lowry. Crunch on Chris Dahlquist. Two dandies.
Basil McRae talks things over at the bench. Adam Oates is out. Brett Hull on his right. Gino Cavallini on the left. Gagne to draw with Oates. Butcher lays it over for Paul Cavallini. Flips one high, and Chambers will go back to get it. Chambers and Brian Glynn, the defense tandem for the North Stars. If you're just joining us, 19:10 to go. First period of our contest from a sold-out Met Sports Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. The North Stars with the lead in the series 3-2. Butcher drops this one back in. Headed for it is Chambers. Took a hit, cleared it along, battled for, and Paul Cavallini flipped one wide that skipped right across the goal mouth. Butcher with it. Butcher stepped into by Modano. Plenty of time and some room for Gagne to get there. Tried to pump it along. That didn't work. Gagne has to head the other way this time, away from Oates and to Modano. Gagne able to step ahead with it. Picks up Stu Gavin. Gagne controls, flips one in front that went wide as Gagne was surrounded by 3 St. Louis Blues. Gavin goes down, and the puck squirts loose, taken by Paul Cavallini.
It sure didn't take long for Bob Gainey to get Stu Gavin out there against Brett Hull. Now, Gavin looks like he's going to come out with just about any line that leads. Usually, Brian Propp is out there with Gagne and Modano. First time out for Gavin because Hull was on the ice. He was with that Gagne line.
Giles' shot went off Paul Cavallini. Around it comes for brother Gino Cavallini. Paul Cavallini steps into Bellows. Gino turns it around behind for Garth Butcher. 2 minutes gone in this scoreless first period. Brian Propp got some help from Wilkinson to turn it back in, and a feed from Propp across. Moving with it is Bobby Smith. Smith bumped to the corner by Brindamore, and the puck fed by Paul Cavallini back down. They say no icing on this plate. So Casey just bunts it back out for Tenorti to carry. Spins it ahead, tipped back in by Propp. Riendo sets it up this time, and the captain, Scott Stevens, off the glass. That one tipped further by Brindamore, and again Mark Tenorti to play it. 2.5 gone in this first period. Pass just past the breaking Brian Propp and down the ice. And icing is finally whistled down, and the fans disagreed. There was some uncertainty for a moment, but all the way back it will come near John Casey.
What you're about to see is a sim. Brushstrokes, runs, streaks. Now consider the new Wagner Power Painter. It has patented controls for precision, a convenient backpack for big jobs. It paints smoothly and evenly over cracks and tough surfaces. Why did we ruin this beauty? So you wouldn't ruin this one. Wagner, not just a whole lot faster, a whole lot better.
challenge for John Casey. He has been able to play within himself. An introvert to begin with that concentrates on keeping his anxiety level down, on underreacting, and he has done that every time he has stopped a puck. We have only seen him come close to losing it once. He took one punch in game 2 and then went right back into himself, into his focus.
Oates and Broughton for the face-off. Blues control, Hull across. Brown shoots. Oh, and that one head high, screamed right over the crossbar. Stevens a drive, and that one went wide. Tipped back out by Dahlin. But we get a stoppage of play. Andy Van Hellemond has signaled a penalty, and the first power play of the game will be going to St. Louis. Gaetan Duchesne is protesting, but he will sit.
The North Stars know one thing. They're not going to be able to get Stu Gavin out there against Brett Hull all the time. So the number 2 guy, Gaetan Duchesne. And as the pressure was on, Brett Hull in both of his shifts so far has done nothing more than fight it out in front. See Hull landing on front of Duchesne? I think that's why Duchesne was arguing. He said, listen, he pushed me as much as I pulled him. That's not the way Andy Van Hellemond saw it. Holding to Duchesne. 2:47 of the first. The Blues power play has sure come on in the last 2 games.
6 for 19 over the last pair of games. Overall in the series, 7 for 33. And the one that it had scored earlier was put in by one of the North Stars. So they have some confidence there, as well as in goal, as Riendo has tapped and Brown nearly loses and does. Stu Gavin plays the 4 corners. Tenorti chips it back in. If you're just joining us, under 17 minutes to go in the first period. Only 1 shot on goal, and that by Minnesota. St. Louis has the first power play. Paul Cavallini blasts one around. Crunching the boards is Casey to stop. Hands to Tenorti. Flipped one that's kept by Paul Cavallini. Broken up by Broughton, and here he comes. Broughton is loose. Look, shoots wide. Around the boards a big hit, but the puck came back to Chambers.
Outstanding defensive play by Jeff Brown. He didn't bother reaching for Broughton until just when Broughton was going to shoot. Broughton shot wide because of Jeff Brown.
1:05 to go on the Blues power play. Paul Cavallini brings it on. Shuttles one around the glass that skipped away from Casey. To the boards goes Brindamore. Giles trying to spin, but lost it to Oates. A shot is turned aside. Back behind, it's Brett Hull again. Hull to the point, Paul Cavallini. Shovels one, tipped right on goal, and Casey hangs on.
Well, the Blues power play is alive and well once they get set up in the zone. The North Stars perhaps a little over-anxious on their penalty killing, pressing, but one time it did work. Neil Broughton intercepted the pass, comes all the way down. Watch Jeff Brown, just when Broughton shoots, there. Perfectly timed to force Broughton to pull it wide. Vincent Riendo looked like he was going to have to stop a point-blank shot. Never even came close. I mean, Jeff Brown hit him and Broughton missed by a couple of feet.
The small things look huge, don't they? Such as winning a face-off. Quinn and Broughton to test for this one. 45 seconds still for the North Stars to kill. Kurt Giles is there. Good keep by Butcher. Hands over to Stevens. Shovels one. Calmly blocked away by Casey. Fed to the point to Stevens. Opposite side Butcher. Shovels another one, and that went wide. Rebound couldn't be finessed by Tuttle. Picked up by Gavin and flopped back down the ice. 22 to go on the Blues power play. Garth Butcher with the long pass ahead. Worked across now. Quinn ahead for Tomlinson. Tomlinson dumps it behind. Tuttle couldn't get there. Instead, it's Gavin, and again the Blues chase. These fans normally stand to salute the penalty killers. We're down to the last 3 seconds of the power play for St. Louis. Out of the box, Duchesne. Puck back in and tapped to the corner by Wilkinson. Couldn't be taken by Quinn. Up the boards for Brian Bellows. Headmans it out. Puck carried on now by Chambers from the defense. Duchesne a drive, and that's blocked away by Riendo. Wilkinson to the corner. Lost though to Butcher, and Butcher passed it and will have to go right back to get it. Duchesne rammed into him, and Butcher goes down and covers up. Puck underneath him, and Andy Van Hellemond blows the whistle to stop play. We'll return in a moment.
too much of a good thing is a good thing. The new, incredibly comfortable Mercury Grand Marquis. All this on the quality of a Mercury.
Well, Garth Butcher's up and all right. Gaetan Duchesne took him into the boards, and as soon as he hit him, watch this hit. Yeah, he got him high, didn't he? Duchesne looked around immediately for Andy Van Helleman's call. Andy was standing 10 feet away. He said, "No go, boys."
The big crunching will go unpunished tonight. That means there should be a good deal of it. The North Stars established that sort of game early, then had to hold back while they were killing penalties. And with a hit like Duchesne just put on Butcher, they've registered that game again. That's not emphasis enough. Take a look at those numbers. 17, McRae. 27 out of your picture right now, Shane Churla. Lowry and McRae for the draw. Blues prevail. Brown hacks it off the boards. A difficult keep, but he did. Tenorti right on for Churla. Behind Riendo. Swatted over to Scott Stevens. Stevens just shovels it ahead, and then down to the ice went Brown on a North Stars check. Dahlquist buries a man. After he had turned it in, that was Rich Sutter, and here come the North Stars back out. Moving ahead is Bureau. Dumps it to the corner. McRae goes down, wanting to buy a penalty. That didn't work. Big hit from behind by Churla on Gino Cavallini as you watch Oates bring it back. Gave it up to Bureau, and he sends it back down. No icing on this.
That's not a bad play by Bureau. He knows that he needed a change because the Hull, Oates, and Tomlinson line made it over the boards and caught them out there. They don't want to be out there if they can avoid it. They need Stu Gavin out there against Brett Hull.
Puck poked away by Gavin. Punched on back, but Chambers is there. Turns it right back out for Gagne. Floated one away from Gavin. Played by Paul Cavallini. Gets away from the swat of Modano. Paul Cavallini ahead. Rolls it too far for Oates. Cut off by Chambers. Sean Chambers with some room to come back. 3-on-3. Chambers leading it in. Got by one, but not two. And the third, Garth Butcher took it over. Butcher's pass on the money for Hull. Across for Oates, but tipped off his stick to the seats.
Adam Oates, before this hockey game, talked to us about the production that they needed to come up with. And you may have heard in our open, he mentioned that he thought they got their scoring chances. And that's how offensive players measure their success very often, when they can't measure it by the points on the board. As long as Adam Oates and Brett Hull are getting their offensive chances, they're going to be happy guys. It means that the North Stars don't have them completely tied up. So then what they bet on is their ability to cash in as long as they get the chances. Chances first, point production second.
Puck frozen again. Bill, in our open, you had mentioned that you feel this is the biggest game the North Stars have played. What about Game 6 against Chicago in a prior round?
I think it's a different situation. They were never up 3-1 against Chicago, so Chicago never had the chance to come back with huge momentum. Besides that, the North Stars had already won 2 games in Chicago, so going back I don't think would have been as devastating. The third thing is, I think they had the Hawks on the run halfway through the series. It wouldn't have mattered even if it had gone 7. Not so here.
Paul Cavallini tried to get it to Lowry, and was he ever hit by the smallest man out there? Kurt Giles. Sutter has to work it away from Propp in close quarters. Paul Cavallini to Lowry, and he just wants to be rid of it. Giles goes back to get it. 12 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the first period of this one that's had a lot of thumping, but no scoring yet. Puck to the seats, clock stopped, no score. Midway in the first. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
It's not simply a game. It's an era of fitness, health, muscle development, body toning, beauty, and power. It's the era of Soloflex. Become a part of it. Call anytime for a free brochure.
Brian Sutter yesterday said, you go with the guys who have done it for you all year. When he was quizzed about starting Vincent Riendo in Game 5, players coach, they didn't let him down 2 nights ago in St. Louis, did they?
This one set up by Casey for the carry by Dahlquist. Dahlquist walking ahead, fires one into Harold Sneps. Finesse back by Rich Sutter, but but hoisted back in by Dahlquist. The North Stars are able to clear. It's a legal play, but the Blues have it. Snaps, Lowry, and back out. The North Stars will have to chase it down this time. Loose stick, Basson able to pick it up. We get an icing touch-up and a face-off to come back near Riendo. You know, the Detroit Red Wings said one thing that happened to them in Game 6 against St. Louis was that they were so impatient. They wanted to win at home in the first 5-10 minutes. What are some of the other things that teams are showing out there when they show impatience?
Well, I think it can show itself in two ways. There's offensive impatience, and that's what I think the North Stars did in Game 5. You try passes to people that are just not open. You force the play offensively, and I think also you're reluctant to dump it in. You have bad reads in the offensive zone, and as a result, you commit turnovers in the neutral, turnovers at the offensive blue line, and the North Stars did a lot of that in Game 5. So those are the symptoms for offensive patience. You try to make the play that isn't there, and you don't read the play well enough.
Vincent Riendo had a shutout of Detroit in that Game 6, and it was predominantly the younger Detroit players who later said, yeah, we just were so tight because we wanted to do it for the big home crowd. And the point Bill made at the top, guys like Bobby Smith out there to take this face-off should be able to keep that youth situation that the North Stars have a little cooler here. Brown, Sutter, and Brown once more. 12-10 to go in the first. Pass ricochets back in, and so again it is Scott Stevens to play on a part of the defense. Hands it back over for Lowry. Lowry moves it on, plops one in that skipped over the stick of Neil Wilkinson. Wilkinson brings it back. This coming with under 12 minutes to go in the first period. No score in the game, just 5 shots, 3 by Minnesota. Bellows stepped into his man, along it comes. Big shot by Glenn, and that one went wide. Around now for Lowry. Shouldered on the play by Bellows. Picked up by Oates. Oates trying to shake free and can't do it. Brought up by Scott Stevens. Hands ahead for Brown. Brown feeding over for Lowry. Lowry trying to get in deep, and Chambers denying him. Bobby Smith comes by. Can't get it along to Madonna. Now on second effort, he'll be able to carry it back out. Smith ahead. Feeds it up the wing. Carried by Glenn and fired, but that deflected to the seats by Garth Butcher. Boy, these two teams are showing their defensive power. There haven't been many good chances at either end, let alone shots on goal.
One thing that a guy like Bobby Smith can't communicate to his team, but you know he's thinking, is that this game, to a great degree, is going to revolve around who gets the lead first. It has been the pattern throughout the playoffs for the North Stars, especially in this series. They have predominantly held the lead, and I think that the first period, the subplot involves a race to the lead. If the North Stars can keep the crowd in it and start nailing that coffin shut, I think the Blues will sag a little bit. On the other hand, the North Stars have to feel the pressure, and their crowd will be taken out of it if the Blues score first. So getting on the board early, perhaps opening up a 2-goal lead, big items.
The arm wrestling contest for the first goal has gone twice as long, and even more so than it has in any of the earlier games. Game 1, Gagne at 1:46. Game 2, Gavin at 26 seconds. Giles in Game 3 at 3:34. Bellows at 1:12 in Game 4. And Brindamore, the last game, at 1:46. We've already gone 8 minutes and 50 seconds into this 6th contest. Puck flipped back out. Brian Glynn to get it. Dumps one off that is shouldered away. To the corner goes Ron Wilson. Wilson centered one, and Casey stopped that one and then held on.
John Casey has to be careful not to be too aggressive. When Ron Wilson went into the boards, Casey choked up on the stick, getting ready for the poke check. See him with the knob of the stick in his hand. And sometimes when you're in the middle of that maneuver, your feet will get a little happy and move away from the post. Wilson just jammed that one for Casey's skate blade, and Casey was there to take it, but he was in the middle of preparing for something else.
Best opportunity in the game thus far, if you're just joining us, was a breakaway by Neil Broughton shorthanded. But just at the last second, Jeff Brown put a quick hook onto his arm and caused the shot to go wide. Ulf Dahlen gave it up to Butcher. He in turn gave to Sean Chambers. Able to pull away. Chambers starts it back, handing over for Dahlen. Dahlen drifts to the corner. Heads behind. Dahlen with a backhander, and that one went wide. Duchesne behind the goal. Paul Cavallini on him, strips him of the puck. It's flipped off beyond the reach of Dahlen, but he caught up to it. To the point, Chambers a shot, it bounced right in front! And on the hop, Riendo snared it, and then just took a glance behind, but he had it.
A couple of shots have done this already. One from Brian Glynn a little early on the other side, but this little end-over-ender was tipped. That's why it bounced. It was end over end anyway, but Gaetan Duchesne got his stick on it and tipped it into him. Ulf Dahlin with good work along the boards. His first game in this series, and that's where he has to pay dividends to the North Stars, is along the boards. And he's the guy that made the play back to Chain. Man, did that ever take a hop. Riendo was getting ready to catch it with his catching glove, and it went over to his right arm.
For the second straight game, Curtis Joseph, who hasn't played since January, is the backup to Vincent Riendo. He hurt his knee in January in Chicago. Pat Jablonski had been the backup netminder for the first 4 games. And Brian Hayward, of course, the backup to John Casey. On this face-off, the Blues prevail. Stevens turned right into trouble as Modano was right on him. Stevens recovers and flipped one that Gagne got to and just spiked on his backhand to the rail. Jeff Brown to take this one. A little pass over for Oates. Gave it up to Tenorti, and Tenorti back to dump it in. Nearing the halfway point of this first period as Brown flips one, just getting up to Scott Stevens to play it. Able to give it ahead, Brett Hull up the wing. Watched by Gavin tightly. Hull forced off by Gavin, but he poked it one that came across. Up with this now is Lowry. Hands to Adam Oates, trying to dip loose from Tenorti. Around for the stuff attempt. On a backhander, another one, and that fought off by Casey. Now Oates tries the forehand, and a save made by Casey on that one. Gavin starts it back for the North Stars, hooked down on the play. Fans want a penalty. Andy Van Hellemond says no, and to get it is Dahlquist. Flips it on the money for Gagne. Kicked by Bellows, but not for control. Stevens with a pass, and then across Dahlquist, and Oates with a heavy collision, and Oates went down and heads for the bench. Along with this is Wilkinson, fires it back around. Riendo to stop it behind. Stevens, quick pass to Basson, run off by Bellows. Blues are able to shake it back out, and so Giles will go to get it. This one comes back, taken short of icing by Giles with 9:10 to go in the first period. 5 shots for St. Louis, 4 shots for the North Stars. Neither team has scored yet. Marois scoops it back out. Gino Cavallini took that, but it was across 2 lines. Midway in the first from the Met Sports Center, no score.
There's only one light beer with the big taste of Miller Genuine Draft. Cold filtered Genuine Draft Light.
We're on our way. Yeah, we'll be ready.
At the Northlands Coliseum, the Edmonton Oilers will strike first. Mark Messier over to Craig Simpson. He stuffs it past Kelly Rudy, his 3rd of the playoffs. 1-0 Oilers in the first. Back to Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement.
So they have a goal there. We're still waiting for the first one here. Harold snaps, flips it back out. Glynn hacks it back in. Riendo just cranes from the right to the left to watch it. Gino Cavallini forced to the corner by Prop. Snaps trying to pull it loose. Cavallini does and winds one for Marois, playing in his 100th Stanley Cup game tonight. Mario Marois shuffles one back to the North Stars glass. First one there, Gino Cavallini. Flipped one that hit off the top of the net and popped around now for Brian Glynn. Shovels for Prop. Hit by Marois. Smith unable to step ahead, and Marois makes the North Stars go back again. Adam Oates had 3 shots in one shift. That brought his team's total up from 2 to 5, and that's where it stayed. The North Stars have been at least 3 or 4 minutes by our unofficial count without a shot. This time they ice the puck, and it'll come back near John Casey.
So John Casey is looking at the same matchups in front of him. He has seen so much of Brett Hull in this game already. As soon as the Blues end up deep in the zone, he just parks in front. He was being hooked along the boards, but see Hull trying to fight his way to the net. All he wants to do is keep people in front. That opens it up for Adam Oates. Good stuff in front. And hard work by Brett Hull. We talked about his underrated assets in Game 5, one of which was his strength. He gave Chris Dahlquist everything that he could handle. And, you know, to get into the zone, we saw a foot race between Hull and Stu Gavin. Gavin had all he could do to catch him, so that the speed factor is there, too.
Brett rests. Wilson is out for the faceoff. Darren Kimball on his right, Tomlinson on his left. And the false start, it is Churla along with Trey, the wingers for Mark Bureau. Ball feel-out sort of game right now. Neither team able to get much in the way of penetration. Puck to the back. Paul Cavallini turns it right on goal. Swept away by Casey. Sent around by Wilson. Wrapped up by Bureau, and it's turned along for Tenorti. Then up for Basil McRae. McRae with a pass on the money for Bureau. Leads one over for Churla. Churla after it. Centered it. That's across for McRae, who is carried to the corner and given a rough ride by Kimball. Centering pass by Churla. Turned aside by Paul Cavallini, and he shifts from defense to offense and nudges it ahead for Tomlinson. Dropped right back to the corner, and Tenorti will play. Blues will give them plenty of room by making a shift change, and Hull is back out there. Hull not working with Oates right now as Tenorti moves in. Had Churla in front, couldn't get it to him, and it's left behind for Jeff Brown. 7.5 to go in the first, no score in the game. Blues follow up in the person of Brown. To Stevens and ahead now for Dan Quinn. Has Hull with him. Feeds across for Brindamore. Brindamore couldn't get the backhander away as Brian Glynn was on him and works him hard to the glass. Glynn along for Mark Bureau. Tried to get it out but couldn't. Giles will try this time. Giles pivoting. Nice move. Able to shake the forechecking of Brindamore and lug it on back. Then he's hooked at by Hull. Down went Giles. Play continues. It is Scott Stevens taking it, turning it back up for Brindamore. Followed up though by Chambers and then sent off Dallenbach. Well, we mentioned earlier Andy Van Helleman is letting them play, and he is the model of consistency. He did it early and he's doing it now. Spiked down on goal by Duchesne and a save made by Riendo. Since the Broughton breakaway, the best chance either team has had. Glynn loses. Hull moving in. Hull has a man in front. Oates backhander on the top of the goal.
A company can learn a lot in 125 years. Valvoline has. You learn in the lab, you learn on the road, you learn on the racetrack. As you learn, you make your product better. And better and better. Today's Valvoline will keep your engine cleaner than ever before. And cleaner means more protection against engine wear. 125 years of quality. That's why people who know use Valvoline.
Well, if you're Vincent Riendo or John Casey, you got to wonder what's happening. Pucks flying all over the place, taking crazy bounces. The North Stars had their chance at the end. Ulf Dahlen's pass went into the air, then bounced off a couple of people, just about surprised Riendo. And then Brian Glynn had Brett Hull strip him at the blue line. You talk about chances. This is big chance number one for Brett Hull. It tells you how much John Casey gave him, the fact that Hull didn't shoot. Off Casey, up against the water bottle, then dead on top of the net. But that tells you that John Casey covered perfectly what he had to cover, because Brett Hull's first option there is always shoot. He's a trigger man. He wants to shoot.
If you call what we've just seen a couple of breaks that went Minnesota's way, the last game they went St. Louis's way, and the prior game in here, St. Louis just looked snake-bitten all over the place. They had one wiped out by a whistle as the puck was crossing the line. So maybe it shifted back to the North Stars. The early indication is that at least in 2 cases it has. Harold Sneps drops back to play it. 6 minutes, 10 seconds to go. First period, no score. 7 shots Blues, 5 for the North Stars. A pass across is turned aside by Marois. Able to handle it is Tuttle. Tuttle wedged to the boards and glass firmly by Dahlquist, and maneuvering his way along is Brian Glynn. The big defenseman loves it ahead. Cranks a shot, and that one tipped high to the corner glass by Harold Sneps. Chopped along by Marois, scooped up and thrown back out by Tuttle. Bert Giles to get it. He and Wilkinson, now the defense for the Minnesota North Stars. Wilkinson's pass, slowed down by Oates, turned back, and Giles dumps it out. Modano couldn't reach it. Instead, Paul Cavallini turns back to play it. As Rich Sutter ahead, Paul Cavallini took the hook from Bellows, but got loose. Nice move by Cavallini. Couldn't get it to his brother Gino, and Giles tipped it back out. Butcher lays it across. Rich Sutter shakes it on. Cut off by Giles. Giles dumps to the corner. Stu Gavin goes back after it. Riendo floats it from him. Sutter stepped into in the corner by Bobby Smith. Tries to get loose but can't. Overskated by Gavin. Sutter turns again, and this time a little more room. Dumping it off for Gino Cavallini, who chops it back to neutral ice. In the last 10 seconds, pretty much an example of what we've seen almost the entire first period here. Under 5 minutes to play now in a scoreless first. Riendo lobs it over for Garth Butcher. Shovels it along. Unable to keep for a moment was Glynn and was punched by him. And it is gathered in by Bellows and put back in off of Stu Gavin's stick.
Butcher to get it again. Scott Stevens chops it along. Gino Cavallini there, shakes it by Chambers. Coming over to cut it off is Glynn once more. Passing right on him, loads it back off on stride to Bobby Smith, then over for Bellows. Tied up by Stevens, but no matter, they rule it an offside play. 4:30 left in the first, no score.
Each year, the experts at Car and Driver look at over 100 cars, so you don't have to. From the current new cars, they just picked their 10 best. At the most, you'll probably only buy one of them. That's too bad, because 2 of the 10 best are Mercury's. Mercury Sable and Mercury Tracer LTS. All this in the quality of a Mercury.
Brian Sutter has to be fired up. He is looking out at a neutral zone that sees a lot more room out there tonight than earlier in the series. The Blues had it in Game 5. The North Stars have not really taken it away from them. Lots of skating room for the St. Louis Blues, and when Brett Hull and Adam Oates are out there, that's a problem for the North Stars, but a big advantage for Brian Sutter's guys. Scott Stevens back to get it. Broughton took it from him, has Dahlin in front. Broughton to the back, and Dahlquist couldn't reach that one. John Casey tends it there. First one near him is Oates, so it's turned along for Dahlquist. Lifted back out, and Stevens gloved it in. Delayed offside, wiped out as the Blues had cleared the zone. 4 minutes to go in the first period of play. The North Stars with only one shot in the last 7 minutes of action. Broughton a shot, and Riengo knocked that one down and then just hung on. Boy, so many times you talk about the first 10 minutes being critical, especially when you're on the road, and the Blues have survived it, actually have the edge and dominance in the game. I like this play by Neil Broughton. It was a 3-on-3, all lanes covered, get it on Riengo, drive for the rebound. He had Dahlin on the right side going. North Stars have had trouble penetrating, and they like to think of themselves as a team that thrives on the rush. It's up to them to recognize when the rush potential is taken away from them, like St. Louis did in Game 5, like they're doing pretty well here, and do things like Neil Broughton did. If the rush isn't there, you can't make it happen unless you've got unbelievable speed and the defenseman back in to help you out. Well, if this first period ends scoreless, St. Louis will have won the period, and it will be the North Stars who will have some adjusting to do. Off the face-off, Dahlin wrapped up by Scott Stevens. Along the boards, they scrapped for it, came back over for Neil Broughton. Giles with a pass that's knocked down by Hull. Broughton moving to him. Brett Hull trying to get by, and Broughton knocked it away right in on John Casey. Dumped along by Giles, picked up by Adam Oates. Oates able to control. Centered one, and Brown with a shot that went wide. Rebound, Oates up with it. Out in front, Lowry a shot. Hit someone in front. Flip it back to Stevens. Drive, and that one went high and wide. Oates clears. Brown with a shot, and it skipped across the goal mouth wide. Furious attack by St. Louis, but they couldn't knock it home. It is kept by Brown, but it was outside. A delayed offside now. Modano flips it. It's knocked down by Duchesne, and play moves on for Broughton. And they rule that an offside pass, and so the clock stopped again. 3:04 to go in the first period. It's still scoreless.
Hollywood Pictures presents Michael Keaton as One Good Cop. In the battle for the streets, the line has been drawn. He's fighting a war that America can't afford to lose. One Good Cop, rated R, starts Friday. And from Touchstone Pictures, it's Sylvester Stallone in Oscar.
Sylvester Stallone puts aside his big macho image, and he's funny.
It's a different Stallone than I've ever seen before.
He's much better in comedy than that Rambo stuff.
Oscar, rated PG, now playing. And One Good Cop starts Friday.
Well, slow-mo just wouldn't do this action justice. Here's what it looked like at real speed. Brett Hull again, right to the front of the net. Boy, Dave Lowry just pulled that. I wondered how he had missed it. Lowry's shot went off Wilkinson. None of the rest got on goal, but boy, were they all around it. Harold Snaps flips one that is off of Modano. Controlled by Snaps once more and dropped back in. Clock ticks down to 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the first period. We have no score in the game. Snaps goes back along with Mario Marois to play this. It is Marois. Meanwhile, Snaps preoccupied with Bellows. Marois just shoots it back down, and this taken
back down the ice by Chambers. They rule no icing on this play. Chambers a pass on the money for Bobby Smith. Starts ahead, has Bellows on the left. Bobby Smith trying to worm his way in for Bellows, but they rule again an offside call, stopping the clock with 2.5 to go.
Just a hair over anxious, but Brian Bellows knows he's got to give Bobby Smith a little more room, especially when you've got Marois standing up, Harold Snepp standing up. Give St. Louis defensemen some credit. They forced Bobby Smith to make a little lateral move. Brian Bellows is down to 1 jersey. He wore 4 different jerseys the first 4 games in this series. These jerseys will become collector's items at the end of the season. North Stars are going to a new look next year. Black and mylar gold, a metallic gold with little green piping. Brian Bellows wanted to have collector's items for his brothers and sisters, so he wore 4 different jerseys before settling on this one.
You see the mylar star that has already been used this season. But Norm Green, the owner, is very coy about the unveiling of the overall uniform. That'll be done at a later time. Boy, you notice some real frustration on the part of Bobby Smith. Puck dumped along, Dahlquist stepped into Lowry. And back to get it is Basil McRae. Blues able to control. Paul Cavallini ahead with brother Gino Cavallini with just over 2 minutes to play. Blues are in the midst of a change. Gino Cavallini just run to the ditch. That time by Bureau. Tenorti taken to the boards. First one in will be Wilson trying to pull it away, but it came back up for Churla. Basil McRae trying to bulldoze his way by, and Churla is able to headman, but too far for Dahlquist. Chipped back along by Butcher, taken by Kimball. This one turned loose, and Churla is hurt. Up on all 4s, and for that reason the whistle is blown and play stopped.
This is not a facial injury. Something from the waist down. Shane Churla's in a lot of pain, but it looks like it's ankle-knee related.
Gosh, I didn't notice a thing. Play was to the other side, and then we look back to see Churla down. There'd be a collision with someone.
There's so much going on away from the play. This has been the most intense period of this series so far. It's not only for the puck carrier, but it's away from the play. Churla was a mile from the play when he got dinged somehow. I didn't see it either. He's up, he's all right.
Well, you talked about impatience, and we saw it not only on that offside call against the North Stars a moment ago, but also on the animosity that Bobby Smith and the frustration he was showing at the bench alongside Brian Bellows. And those are a couple of the longtime veterans here, so you can imagine what it must be like for the younger players who are sitting not far away. Bobby Smith has won a championship, and he has been a part of some of the glory years here in Minnesota. Last time they reached the Final Four, 1984. They've been in the Final Four 5 times. They're trying to get into it again. Broughton weaves for Wilkinson, fires one wide. Riendo able to scoop this one along for Paul Cavallini. Tries for Hull, chipped it along. Good anticipation by Wilkinson and good fight to drive it to the corner. Tomlinson to get that. Dahlin stepped right into him. Meanwhile, it's played and neutralized by Duchesne to Chambers. Chambers works it back on, back in by Wilkinson. Around the wall it swirls. Duchesne is the first one there. Jams it back, hoping for Dahlin, but instead got Paul Cavallini. Dahlin knocked it loose. Down to the ice went Broughton. Meanwhile, the puck kicked back across from Oates over for Paul Cavallini. Thrown ahead by Glenn. Duchesne feathers it off, and here's Broughton moving in. Fires, and that one went wide. All the way around to Brett Hull. Feeds for Oates. Tipped it ahead with the help of Butcher. Adam Oates has Lowry breaking. Fires a shot, and it went off skates and wide. Butcher to keep it in the last 40 seconds. Flipped one off a stick that went wide. Up forced high by Oates and along for Broughton. Tried to chip it out, couldn't do it. A wheel by Lowry failed. Broughton tries once more. Sealed up by Butcher, but some room now for a 3-on-2. One of the men back is a forward. That's Lowry. As Bellows brings it in. For Chambers, a shot is flapped to the glass. And to the corner goes Lowry in the final 15 seconds of this first period. We hit it just now. Puck dumped off the glass. Chambers rolls it along. Kept by Bobby Smith. Fed one in front. Bellows backhander went wide. Moving in is Smith in the last 5 seconds of the period. Coming by is Butcher. Down to the ice. Bellows, and the horn sounds to end period number 1. There wasn't any scoring. shots. 10 by the Blues. We'll take a break with the score at the end of the...
15 points as well. Mario Lemieux, 5 goals, 12 assists for 17 points. Kevin Stevens of Pittsburgh, a surprising 7 goals, 9 assists for 16 points. Luc Robitaille, the leading goal scorer, he has 11, 4 assists, 15 points. Shane Corson and Ray Bourque also with 15 points. 7 players are tied with 14. And tomorrow night on Sports Channel America, the Adams division.
And the Minnesota North Stars with 6, and Bill has documented very well the other war that's going on. It hasn't resulted in scoring thus far, but Adam Oates and Brett Hull have been the focus of a lot of North Stars' attention.
But still plenty of room. Watch this play with Adam Oates going behind the net. Now when he loses you, what do? You go in front. But Mark Tenorti, you see what kind of problem he has. So that is a significant problem that the North Stars are going to have to overcome. If they don't get to Adam Oates quickly enough, he's going to use the back of the net, and when he loses the guy trying to cover him, the guy trying to cover him is going to go in front. He's going to run right into Brett Hull, and who's ever covering Brett Hull at the time.
Brett Hull had 3 shots on goal in that period. Adam Oates had a couple.
You know,
one of Hull's shots wound up on top of the goal.
We finally figured out this one a couple of seconds ago. See that shot by Dave Lowry? It hit Brett Hull in the skate, and that's why it didn't go into the top corner by John Casey. I thought that Lowry had pulled it, but some sharp people downstairs at the truck pointed out that it actually hit Brett Hull's skate.
Well, the Carams have gone Minnesota's way, but the balance in play has certainly been St. Louis's here in this first period.
5 shots on goal for Adam Oates and Brett Hull in one period. I mean, that hasn't happened in this series yet, so they are having their way. The North Stars have to take some steps. That period in this game so far definitely belongs to the St. Louis Blues.
John Casey has done a splendid job, too. He hasn't seen much offense headed the other way. There was one late rush in the first period.
Now, one of the keys, I think, to Minnesota's offense is they're going to have to get their defensemen up on the play. On this rush near the end of the period, they got both Sean Chambers. He takes the shot, and right in front, his defense partner, Brian Glynn. They have to watch for people covering for them back there, but if they get the chance, St. Louis is playing tight enough defensively. I think they're going to have to get them into the rush to create offense.
Okay, we'll see if that adjustment's made. No score at the end of one. We're between periods 1 and 2 here from the
California Angels. Ricky had his fair share of chances to break the record. First inning, after a single, Ricky got picked off by Jim Abbott and is nailed. In the third, Ricky back on first again, another single. He didn't steal, but he did come plateward as Jose with the monster double. Karam's off the wall. Canseco had 3 RBIs in the 6th, with Lou Brock looking on. That's Lou in the background, and Ricky facing Jeff Robinson. So Ricky is on again. And this time he is off and running. Lance Parrish, the throw, the steal, number 938, ties Lou Brock's all-time record. And Ricky's taking this base with him. Lou Brock looking on with a smile. He's probably happy because he doesn't want to keep following Ricky around the country while he tries to break this mark, which is only a matter of time. Oakland, by the way, picks up the victory by the final of 7-3.
Churla will go back to take this one. There are no carryover power plays at the start of the second period. Only one minor called by Andy Van Helleman in the first. That to Duchesne for holding in the very early stages of the period. Bureau can't penetrate. Help from Dahlquist. Back to play as Jeff Brown. Brown and Stevens start this period as the defense for St. Louis. Adam Oates as well as Brett Hull. They're just now getting in stride as the puck goes to Tomlinson. Plays it across for Oates. Regathers and hopes for Hull, but gets Gavin. Hull takes it back and flips one. Oh, and that one a half-speeder that Casey had trouble with. Mark Tenorti back for the North Stars with a pass on for Bobby Smith. Crosses with Churla. Smith with a shot, and Riengo walks it down and then traps to get a stoppage of play.
You know, I had to wonder during Game 5 if the North Stars wouldn't be better off paying more attention to Adam Oates than Brett Hull. Through the neutral zone in this hockey game, Adam Oates has been able to do just about whatever he has wanted to. John Casey is going to face some Hull-Oates shots in this period as well. After Adam Oates lost the puck, Brett Hull picked it up, and this bouncer must have changed directions on John Casey. Perhaps he couldn't make up his mind how he was going to actually stop it. But here's Adam Oates. Lots of time as usual. Puck pressure. No puck pressure by the North Stars in the first period or in this period. And the Blues, obviously dangerous when they've got their key guys out there. Time and space. Simple game.
Butcher didn't have much of either. Puck given up to Smith. Behind it, spiked off of Bellows. Hacked at by Modano, but taken by Brind'Amour. A minute gone here in the second period of our scoreless game. North Stars have the lead in this best-of-7 series, 3 games to 2. The winner will play the winner of the Los Angeles-Edmonton series, and we're keeping you up to date on that one tonight. That one was 1-0 Edmonton at the end of 1. Up with this is Modano, a little pass across. Bobby Smith couldn't get it in deep. Paul Cavallini brushes at that one, a second effort, and he fans. Now turns it back off the boards. Wilkinson able to keep it alive. Neil Wilkinson has to hurry. Right on him tightly was Steve Tuttle. Wilkinson trying to pull it loose. Got it behind Bobby Smith. Out front. Riendo's in. Rebound, and it went wide. 2 good North Stars chances, and a third is centered across the goal mouth. Riendo tapped it away. Giles keeps the pressure on. Rolling it around for Neil Wilkinson, but he left it behind. Big drive by Modano, and getting a piece of that Riendo. Thrown back out for Tuttle. Cut off by Modano, but the follow-up comes from Garth Butcher. Lays it softly back in deep. Casey out to just hike it along, and Modano can skate this one down, or can he? Nope, Sutter brushed it away first. Bobby Smith along for the lay back on the backhand of Bellows. Thrown right back by Marois. Spinning with it is Basson. Giles will have to go back. Blues with a shot in this period. Minnesota with a couple. 11-8 Blues in the game. No score. Marois handles. Gives it up, though, for the carry by Wilkinson. Bumped into, and it's shuttled back on by Sutter. Good play by Kurt Giles, or the Blues might have had a 2-on-1. Stoppage of play with 17:26 to go here in the second period. Well, you just think of the tension factor. Vincent Riendo said that he had virtually no sleep before Game 5. What a tremendous game he played then. Not been tested heavily, but he did get a couple of close ends here in the early stages of the second period, including a couple from Bobby Smith. First on the forehand, and another on the forehand that floated wide. We welcome those of you who are joining us all across Canada through the facilities of Hockey Night in Canada, along with Bill Clement, Mike Emmerich from the Met Sports Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. We have no score here in the second period. Hurdle to the ice that time was Brind'Amour. Puck thrown back along and taken by Duchesne. Missed for Neil Broughton. Stevens turns it along, but it's Mark Tinordi rushing it back. He's got Dahlin with him. Tinordi to Dahlin. The shot is blocked away by a sprawling Stevens on defense. And up with this now is Adam Oates. Oates bringing it back for the Blues. Hands on for Brind'Amour. Moving on Dahlquist. Brind'Amour tried a centering pass. A weak one sent down by Casey, but picked up again for a backhand toss by Oates. There'll be a penalty coming up. It'll be only the second penalty of the game, and like the first, it's going to be against Minnesota. Brown hands across to Adam Oates. Feeds it over, and it is taken by Broughton. And we get a stoppage of play. 3.5 gone in the second. Blues to go on the power play when we come back.
A company can learn a lot in 125.
3:30 of the second period. The North Stars had done what they wanted to do offensively, getting Tinordi up on the play, but he got caught up. Coming back in was Brian Glynn trying to stop the dangerous pass that Adam Oates had centered out. So holding is the call to Brian Glynn.
St. Louis 6 for the last 20 over 2 games plus this one on the power play. Prior to that, they were in awful shape. Overall, of the teams still remaining in the hunt for the Stanley Cup, they have the poorest power play, but that based on some faulty play in the early stages of this series and not that strong a finish against Detroit. All the way down, it is sent on Vincent Riendo. Paul Cavallini and Garth Butcher will be the point men. Tomlinson, the rookie, just called up in the late part of the season and early playoffs from Peoria of the International League, is out, along with Hull and Oates. Paul Cavallini ahead for Tomlinson. Tries to get loose for the backhander and can't. Flipped by Duchesne. Helped further by Mark Bureau and back out. Bureau rushes right after it. Moving ahead with Duchesne. Chopped away from him by Hull. Bureau there, sealed up by Hull. Paul Cavallini trying to pull it away and finally does. A minute 15 to go on the power play. Right through it comes for Adam Oates. Drops it for Butcher. Low bridge by Tenorti as he lifted it to the corner. Sean Chambers flips it back off. They can't get it out. It's fed across for Dan Quinn, but we get a stoppage of play. Not gotten a ruling. I think it may have been a hand pass.
Well, the Blues have some power play specialists. One is Adam Oates. We asked Adam Oates today what the key ingredients to a successful power play are. Here's what he had to say.
I think basically all 5 guys on the ice have to have a general understanding of what you want to do, and I think that's very important, and I think most of those guys have to be interchangeable. You know, there's sometimes on the ice you just can't line up in the same spot. You know, the other thing is being able to adapt. You know, it's taken us a while to adapt this series to Minnesota taking Hully away so adamantly, and the last couple of games we have changed and it's worked for us. So I think basically just being able to read what the other team gives you and to adapt to it would be the most important thing.
Well-spoken player out of RPI, Adam Oates. All-American there, watches as this play develops from Brown around behind, knocked loose by John Casey. Kurt Giles, the captain of the North Stars, can't get it out. Flipped along by Brown again. Giles tries once more. Went off of Gavin, and he's able to sail it down. 40 seconds still for Minnesota to kill. 11 shots each in the game, and neither team has scored. 15:05 left in the second period. Paul Cavallini brings it on, hands back over for Brown. Flips one to the corner. Casey had a wave at it. Giles goes over and locks up with Quinn. Puck work to the back, and Paul Cavallini has to hurry it over for Hall. Hall just holds, feeds Oates, has Quinn in front, but blocking that one away was Dahlquist. Hall once more, 15 seconds to go, power play. Couldn't get the shot away. Cavallini finessed one in front, and Oates tried to turn it on goal. Brown and drive into the prone Giles, and Giles tries to seal it up, and he does.
Well, I have to agree with Adam Oates' statement. The Blues are reading what the North Stars are doing and really executing well on their power. A couple of good scoring chances. If they can get the puck in low, here's what they're looking for. That 2-on-1 in front. Kurt Giles with a gutsy block stopped this. Then he was making angels in the snow with his legs and his arms going back and forth, was finally able to get a whistle. But now the Blues, as the series has gone on, have read and read and read correctly, and they're getting chances now.
The first period, even though there was no scoring in it, the Blues certainly had the offensive dominance, and they played so well defensively. Not just their defensemen, but their forwards too. Riendo not tested that much. The best opportunity was a Neil Broughton breakaway, shorthanded, in which Jeff Brown came just at the last moment to tip Broughton's hand as he let the shot go, so it was off the mark. Wilson ahead. Hacks one to the corner. Swift back out near Casey, who sets it up. The teams are back at full strength. Tuttle tried to keep that one along, but it is turned back out by Brian Propp, and ahead it's finessed to Tenorti. Tenorti trying to get by Stevens. Boom to the boards after he dropped it in deep. Riendo around. Now for Rod Brindamore. He has trouble. Brown tries the other side. Trying to pull by was Brian Propp. Puck came back to Wilkinson. Wilkinson fires, and it's tipped wide by Modano. Propp tries a stopper. Another try, and it's poked away back to the point. Kept by Chambers. Nice finesse move, but he lost it on the hook of Brindamore. Around its turn, Jeff Brown takes over for the defense and sails it back down, and then is he ever run into by Gagne. On the turning stick of Mike Modano it comes. Modano wheels back up ice. Pulls away and shoots, and that one just held by Riendo. Big burst of speed by Modano. And a quick shot, but a save. Still no score. After dodging the pressure of the power play by St. Louis, the North Stars came down and put some of their own pressure on. Neil Wilkinson's shot was tipped. Brian Propp wanted that puck to come off the board so hard. It didn't. He had to go behind, got 2 good whacks at it. Gagne tried for it. Look at the protection. 5 Blues right there in front of Riendo. Good point. Well, that second one I didn't see in the regular speed live action, but that one almost trickled past Riendo for a rebound attempt. Modano can't force it to the goal. Rich Sutter turns it back. Basson there, pulls it away, and is able to get control for St. Louis. Basson drops it back now for Marois. On for Harold Sneps. 13:15 to go, second period. Tight game here at the Met Sports Center is scoreless. Around it comes for the turning Modano. Lays it over perfectly for Gagne. Gagne had it broken up at the line. Carried in on an offside by Brian Propp. A lot of linesmen say no, but the one with the stripe says yes. Let's return to our studios.
With the helmet on, fires the shot, beats Kelly Rudy. 2-0 Oilers in the second. Back to Mike Emmerich and Bill Close.
Neutral ice face-off to result. Bobby Smith's line is out. He'll have Gavin on the left and Bellows on the right. Paul Cavallini and Adam Oates talking things over. Why is Gavin out? Because Brett Hull is out too. Between Gavin and Duchesne, they've done quite a number on Hull. In the series, Hull with just 2 goals. Neither team has scored thus far tonight. Chambers blasts it around. Moving in is Bobby Smith. Checked off by Butcher. Puck spun over for Brett Hull, but it kicked off him and by. Ryan Glynn to play on defense. Watched by Oates. Flips one that went off of Tomlinson. Bobby Smith reaching for it, able to scoop it along for Bellows. Can he get by? No. Paul Cavallini shut him right down. Smith guides it across. Easy play for Garth Butcher to pivot and make. Then Paul Cavallini, then Butcher again. Given up to Gavin. Under 12 and a half to play in the second. North Stars with 13 shots, 7 in this period. The Blues with 11. They've had only 1 shot on John Casey, and he stopped it. Ahead comes Butcher, gets away from the swing of Gavin, tried to pull one in, and Tomlinson able to pull loose. Gave a pass for Oates, but he couldn't handle. Back out now Chambers. Flipped it across, and it popped out of play at the Blues bench. So again, we have a stoppage of play. No score in this one. Let's pause for a regional break. Minnesota on Sports Channel. You always talk and trying to take the crowd out of it if you're the visiting team. First 10 minutes passed and the crowd drifted out of it. They've applauded some big saves and some good attack by the North Stars, but there hasn't been much of it. And there hasn't been that much from St. Louis either. But the Blues defensively have prevailed. Midway in the second, puck played ahead by Oates. Worked up now for Scott Stevens, who blasts one off the glass. Moving in for it is Tuttle. Tuttle checked to the corner by Dahlquist and goes down. And the puck underneath Dahlquist, so play stopped once again.
Yeah, one decided difference in this hockey game. Chris Dahlquist and his defensemen, getting help from the forechecking style that the North Stars have, were able to channel the rush to one side of the ice for the first 3 games of this series. The Blues have taken some steps in their breakout to try and work both sides, and as a result, Dahlquist and his guys can't channel it over to one side. But here tonight, noticeably, watch for the Blues with a couple of guys right down the middle of the ice in the neutral zone, and they're stopping that wide pass. What they're doing is what the North Stars did in the first 3 games. They're channeling the play to one side and choking it off. How do you get around that? Well, you have to support the puck. Somebody has to get near the puck carrier so that he has an option, and the puck carrier has to make good decisions. Dumping it in has to be one of his foremost thoughts when he has that much pressure and not that much to do with it.
All right, we'll watch to see if that's what the North Stars do to adjust here. Brown rushed off by Duchesne. North Stars can carry this time. Broughton ahead to Dahlquist, then along for Ulf Dahlin. Dahlin pivots, tries to get away from Stevens. Behind the net, Ulf Dahlin spun one in front! And swinging at it was Broughton, but they couldn't connect. Now a pass for Dahlin, and that went off him. He stepped into by Brown, and emerging with it is Scott Stevens for St. Louis. Hands on for Tuttle. Flipped one by the shoulder of Tenorti. Gathered in by Casey, spun over for Broughton. Wheels back out with a pass on for Mike Modano. Eyed up by Stevens. Modano couldn't get by as Scott Stevens said no on defense. Back out under the stick of Tenorti. Gathered in by Kurt Giles. 10:50 to go in the second. Still no score here from the Met Sports Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. Sellout crowd tonight watching the North Stars try to wrap it up. Hasty pass from Tuttle. Then it went too far for Brindamore. Picked off now by Giles, then along for the turning Mark Bureau. The rookie puts it on the veteran stick, and a tap by McRae. Comes back over for Churla. Big shot turned aside by Riendo. Marois rockets it around, but it went all the way back to where Chambers couldn't even reach it, so the North Stars must go deeper. Sean Chambers with a head of steam up. Wilson trying to catch him, gives him some lumber. Harold snaps, plays him to the boards and glass, and a crowd gathers. Still they spar for it. Mark Bureau tried to kick it loose, but Wilson interceded. Can't get it out. Lifted high by Gavin and behind the St. Louis goal. Down to the ice, a North Star. Mark Bureau. There'll be a penalty coming up to St. Louis. And Kimball comes in with an extra nudge. Andy Van Helleman is checking on Bureau's condition. We'll pick up the penalty call and be right back. 10 minutes to go in the second. No score in the game.
Harold Snepps, the man that took him down, is in the penalty box for a trip. Snepps had to go over his head. Bureau had a step on him, so he took his legs out from under him right there. And as Bureau went down, he may have fallen into the boards and hurt his knee. It looked like he was favoring his right knee. But Harold Snepps is off for a trip here, 10 minutes even. This is the reason Ulf Dahlin is in the lineup for the Minnesota North Stars. Big, strong, good in traffic and around the net, and can always seem to get a pass in front for a scoring chance. When Dahlin has gotten within his range, he's been good in this game.
First power play of the night for Minnesota. Best power play in the league. 10 for 33 in the series. Gagne with Propp on the left, Bellows on the right. Broughton the left point, the right point to Norty. Broughton to Norty. Shovels one, and it's snapped up and held by Riendo. Wilson and Lowry, Stevens, as well as Garth Butcher are the four St. Louis Blues in front of Riendo, killing this one off.
We had asked Adam Oates what he thought the key ingredients were to a power play. We also posed that question to Minnesota North Stars' Brian Propp earlier today.
For a successful power play to work, you have to have someone on the point that is a quarterback who moves the puck around, and you have to have a couple of shooters up front that will shoot the puck on net or get in front of the goaltender and create some disturbance.
So Brian Propp talks about the nuts and bolts of the power play. Adam Oates talked about the overall aspect of the power play, having to read. And I agree with both of them. First you got to read, then you have to have the players to execute the way Brian Propp described.
The guys the North Stars have it back, Neil Broughton as well as Tenorti, but now Gagne waved out of the faceoff. Wilson goes, but not without a protest. And so Gagne will be the man shifting back to the left point. Dave Lowry and Neil Broughton to test for this one. 9:55 to go in the second. No score in the game, and the North Stars just underway on their first power play of the night. Wilson got in the way of that one, and Wilson able to lift it back out. Went out of play at the Blues bench, and so again there'll be a face-off, and again it will be back in the St. Louis defensive end. The sport up here. They're trying to transfer some enthusiasm down to their team on this power play to break this scoreless deadlock. Tenorti leaped into by Basson, kicked it along for Bellows. Stepping right in with Scott Stevens, though. The battle continues along the wall. Trying to jam it loose was Propp, and it comes to him. Propp tries to get one in front. It came right on goal. Rebound, another save made by Riendo. The North Stars had a great flourish, but Riendo got them both. Gagne feeds it over for Bellows. To the back to Tenorti. Bellows once more. Looks for Gagne. Shot. Smothered by the defense and a stoppage of play.
Excellent puck movement by the North Stars. This whole sequence started with two outstanding keeps by Tenorti at the blue line. Then after the pileup on the boards, good pressure. I really think that Dave Gagne wanted to shoot that puck high and just missed it. Here's the action. Brian Propp, outstanding effort just to get the shot away, and then Gagne's poke at it went right into Riendo. And the shot that ended up stopping the play was Gagne's into Scott Stevens. Looked to me like he was trying to get it over Stevens and just missed his shot. He knew Stevens was down.
11 shots in this period by Minnesota. Just one still by St. Louis. 17-11 the North Stars in the game, and there's no score. A minute 10 to go on the power play as Riendo sets this up for Paul Cavallini, and the North Stars will have to go back. Blues make a change. Oates comes off. Lowry is on to work up front with Ron Wilson. Paul Cavallini and Mario Marois, the experience in back. Neil Broughton brings it on. Frank Swan to the wall. Moving in is Gagne, jammed it behind. Puck swung past Bellows by Marois, and the North Stars again must go back. Blues have 45 seconds still to kill. A
Casey with a toss over for Broughton. Looks up ice and carries it on. Neil Broughton leading all-time North Star scorer. Hands over to Bellows. Broughton across for Tenorti, had trouble. Gagne spins it around hoping for Brian Propp. Couldn't get to it, hooked off by Paul Cavallini, but Broughton able to keep this one. Marches right across and gives over for Gagne. Gagne a shot and that pinballed wide. Right back along for Tenorti again. Dumps it behind for Propp for Bellows. And getting a piece of that was Marois. Thrown off by Wilson down to the last 10 seconds and Lowry sends it back down. So the Blues have done a splendid job in killing this one. It's down to its last 3 seconds. Tenorti lays it ahead. Modano tries to jam it back in, and they do. Out of play it is. Out of the box, Snaps. Penalty box empty. So's the scoreboard midway in the second.
Keep the North Stars power play off balance. Brian Propp tried a nice pass here, but the Blues read it all the way. Marois got a piece of it. Ron Wilson was able to get it, and in the process, Brian Bellows was taken down. He wanted a penalty on that, didn't get one.
The Blues change now to bring out Chambers to work with Glynn back on the points. Bobby Smith with Gavin on the left, and on the right side, Modano. Full strength, both teams. Action with 7:45 to go in the second period here from the Met Sports Center. No score in the game. Oates pass, chipped back by Modano. Moving in for this is Stu Gavin. Gavin couldn't get it behind. Hot pop to the Blues again, and Oates cleanly able to get this one back up ice for Brindamore. Moving on with Hall. Rob Brindamore moves to the corner, hands over for Oates. Oates to the back. Brown couldn't pull the trigger. Glenn able to knock it loose. Then it ricocheted back near Brindamore. Knocked down by Glenn, and back up ice with it comes Bobby Smith. Smith moves to the wall. There's one off the boards that is taken by Scott Stevens, and he moves it back for St. Louis. Oates with a pass across. It's walked on by Brown. Passes it too far for Oates. Kurt Giles takes over. Again, the Blues with only one shot thus far. The North Stars have had a dozen in the period, but all of those statistics are meaningless when you see a scoreless game. This one popped to the corner. Snaps goes back. Cut off by Churla. As the crash and bash line is out there now for the Blues. Big shot by Wilkinson, and that one kicked harmlessly away by Marois. Then he shoveled it high to the glass, and around it came for Brindamore. Pass ahead taken by Dan Quinn, eyed up by Giles. Quinn waits, doesn't have help yet. Just drops it to the corner. Neil Wilkinson to take over for the defense of the North Stars with 6:25 to go in the second. Wilkinson shovels one ahead, goes past Churla, back down, but on goal. There'll be no icing here. Riendo scoops it for Butcher, able to play it on his backhand ahead, tipped by Gino Cavallini. Win across now for Brett Hull. Big shot, hit the post, behind Casey. Jammed along by Tenorti. Tenorti able to pivot away, get some help from Mark Bureau as a lot of air went out of this big crowd on that drive by Hull. An icing touch-up. The clock stopped with 5:53 to go in the second, and there's
power play. They get one back. Steve Duchesne toward the net. Tomas Sandstrom, who's been injured, scores the goal. The Oilers lead it 2-1 in the second. Back to Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement.